Good morning and welcome. Isabella from Priorattire here again, as you can see from the opening title. And today we are looking at a dressing up for a ride in the 1790s. 90s are a very interesting era in fashion. It's a lot of transitional period because just a lot of changes. We have French Revolution, we have changes in the countryside, and the fashion changes as well. Today's outfit is based on the portrait of Lady Lade by Stubbs in, I think, 1792, 93, something like that. So we're just looking at the layers, and I will talk a little bit about Letitia as well, because she was a very, very colourful person. Already dressed in my basic layers, linen chemise, cotton stockings, and some riding boots. At that time, women could also ride in slippers. And they did ride in slippers, bless them, my goodness. And obviously stays. This is a slightly earlier model. At that time I can either go for traditional stays, or if my habit is get accordingly, to go for the transitional ones with slightly raised waist as well. This probably would be a little bit more comfortable for riding. I've applied my little makeup with traditional produce as much as I could, and I teased my hair a little bit to suit the more relaxed style of the era, which is just a loose curl, just a little bit powdered, not too much. You don't want to powder anywhere on your clothes really. That's going to be a challenge. We're starting with a little petticoat. Let me see, where's the front, where's the back. Now usually I put petticoats from the top, and there's a reason for that. This one is not necessary. Lots of people are asking me, why do you put all the petticoats from the top and not from the bottom? It's okay here, but even though it's still problematic, if you have any structures like crinolines or bustle cages, you just can't do that. It just doesn't work. Geometry. So let me just put the little petticoat on. This corset was based on, oh, it's already on here, that's good. It's based on the extant, not actually, a pattern from the Patterns of Fashion. So I drafted it on. It was an interesting experience, but I really love it. So we have a basic, that's a cotton linen mixed petticoat, that will keep me safe. And we have a skirt and a habit. I don't need these. Now at that time, although you don't have the big panniers anymore really, apart from court dress, and you can still have the little the rumps for other styles. For riding, you don't actually use that. It's just flapping around. What you can use, and it's also started being in use, is the little sort of bustle pad, which you can see. Also based on Patterns of Fashion, newest one. And this can go either on top of your main skirt or underneath. I'm putting it underneath because I don't want it to show much underneath my jacket. Now the habits at that time, as most of the time actually, are very masculine in look. And I can either have a little hunting shirt or a chemisette, which I have here, which is just a shorter use with lots of frills, but it's a short one. Or, since we are getting dressed in a very masculine way, I'm going to steal my husband's shirt, which has more ruffles and a nice stock cravat to go with it. So I'll go with that. As I mentioned, the habits are very much masculine in look. A lot of ladies were wearing and commissioning habits to work with their husband's regiment. So lots of braiding, threads, stuff like that. This one is relatively plain, although the detailing is very, very masculine in style, especially the tails and the buttons, as you can see. And Lady Lade, they didn't start as a lady, she actually was coming from a very different side of the social strata as, where's my, as she was of a lowly birth and somewhere working in a Drury Lane, apparently as a cook in a brothel, of all places. At some point she was, let me put this one on. I'm not very familiar with men's style, so that's going to be interesting. I need some help. Help! Okay, all sorted. I've got my stock on and I also have a fluffy cravat on. So, Letitia was a mistress of the famous highwayman, 16-string Ron, I think, there you go. When he was executed, eventually... 16-string Jack Ram, that's what it is. She cut an eye of the Duke of York and was his mistress for a while. And the way she cut an eye was by riding and driving. She was a very accomplished rider and followed the hunt, possibly has killed, either rivaled or just below those of Marchioness of Salisbury, who was a renewed excellent rider of that era. And that is something to say, because side saddles at the time had only 2 pommels, 2 forked devices without the leaping head. So not the easiest way to ride, but they rode, hunted, even jumped in those things. So kudos to them. And it was the same for Lady Lade. So he cut Duke of York's eye, and later on, Baronet John Lade, who was himself a very accomplished rider and driver. So they were very well matched in that respect. They had quite a passionate and long affair before he married her. His family was not very pleased about that. But she has become renowned in higher circles as well. So, as you can see, apparently the hunting was, especially fox hunting, was accessible to all the classes, courtesans included. And she was not the only one who rose to prominence and to good marriage by displaying riding skills in the hunting field. Buttons. Oh, buttons, there you go. As always, I cannot see much because of my boobs. She was quite popular. She was a very controversial figure, and both she and her husband lost quite a lot of money gambling and gambled a lot. She once bet 15 guineas on a horse race against another woman. It's unknown whether she lost or won. And she also swore quite a lot, to such an extent that there was a saying, you're swearing us Lady Lade or swearing us Lady Lade. So possibly not the most ladylike lady, but there we go. So I cannot rival her in her riding skills or looks. Obviously she must have been very beautiful, and we can see from the portrait she actually sat for Joshua Reynolds as Miss Smith at some point. I'm almost there. Right. So the waistcoat on, as I said, the looks at the time was very masculine. So there we are. Our masculine look. I should have put my skirt first, I suppose, but that can be done in a second. This one is laced at the back, so I can regulate. It has nice double rows of buttons. Let me close my cuffs. A little bit big, because that's my husband's. Our habits were made of durable materials, so obviously wool is the most obvious one, and that's wool satin. Not the most ideal fabric, looks gorgeous. This is just unlined and bordered with nice linen. This one unfortunately frays, so it called for different tailoring techniques than the usual broadcloth or superfine wood. Still works quite nicely. The pattern for this habit is going to be in my equestrian dressmaker book, including instructions. And let's put the habit on. So that's my little skirt, not trained at that time. It was just quite comfortable outfit for riding, but also travelling. A jacket, lots of jackets at that time. Some of them were longer, some of them were shorter, some of them were decorated and made in uniform fashion. This one is just plain navy with gold buttons and little peplum, so very much like Pierrot jacket for everyday wear. Let me put that on without getting the powder from my hair on it. If possible. I'm in. Let me get my sleeves sorted. I've lost my cuffs somewhere along the way. So this simple style is deceptively simple, because obviously you start getting a little bit more masculine and tailoring techniques in it as well, including some padding and canvassing. A bit nice. Cuffs. Some riding jackets are matching the skirt, some are not. Some have longer skirts all around, some just have that little nice tail. And it's a double-breasted one, and most of the jackets at that time we see fasten left over right. They have buttons on both sides, so it's possible to do it both sides. But from the use of the buttonholes, we can infer that that's the way they're closed. So let's see. Again, I'm doing it blindly because of boobs, and the fashions at the time did not really help with lots of pigeon-breasted look. How many buttons are we in? I think we are done. Oh no, one more. And now we are done. Get my fluffy frills. I can do my cuffs. And a hat. Ta-da! Gloves, whip. And I'm ready. And someone is walking their dog outside. And there we are, all done. You can see it here a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure the little padding works very well with it, but I'll try it without in a second. Might be easier to sit in a saddle without it. For travelling I would keep it on, for riding I'll most likely take it off, but the look is quite elegant, quite smart, and it's just simple wool fabric. Some linen, cotton, a little bit of silk or lining, and that's buttons, and the whole beauty is really in the masculine tailoring and the style, the gently rolling colours, and quite witchy hat. Well, so thank you for watching. I'll put a couple of videos with the horses or some photos over there. If you want to support me, there is a buy me a coffee link in the description. Thank you for watching and see you soon.